One of the more mature icons of the N64 era, Conker the Squirrel has had a very rocky history. Back in the day, Conker made his debut in E3 of 1997 as the protagonist of a game known as CONKER'S QUEST, but he didn't make his playable start until Diddy Kong Racing released that same year. He would later go on to star in the game CONKER'S Bad Fur Day. This game had a real heavy emphasis on adult content. Some would say it's even ahead of its time in that regard. As of late, he is still best known for these titles, despite the less than stellar public reception to his recent adventures, Young Conker and Conker's Big Reunion, only on Project Spark. Anyway, despite his status as one of Rare's most famous characters and one of gaming's icons of old, has there ever really been a good Conker game beyond Bad Fur Day? Now don't get me wrong, it's a good game, but beyond a single N64 title, is there a good game? Now I suppose you can say Diddy Kong Racing counts, but for all intents and purposes, you could just decide to screw him and play as Banjo instead.
I'm Banjo!
Well, as it turns out, there is one commonly overlooked game in the Conker series, one released for the Game Boy Color.
Meet Conker's Pocket Tales, developed by Rare and released for the Game Boy Color in 1999. That's right, the first game in the Conker series is this micro-action adventure for a handheld.
Wait, what about Conker's Quest? You know, his debut to the gaming world?
Never came out. At least not as Conker's Quest. It was later renamed to 12 Tales Conker 64, which later became the game you all know and love. So there, this was the first game in the Conker series.
Oh.
Yeah, this was a pretty low-profile release for Rare. Around this time, more people were interested in Donkey Kong or Perfect Dark, which were both for the N64. The only reason people cared about the Game Boy Color was for Pokemon. This game never stood a chance. Well, to be fair, it was never meant to compete against these titles, but still. Strangely enough, the cartridge I have says Made in Japan, but as far as we know, the game never actually saw a Japanese release.
Considering that Rare is a British company, I can't say I'm surprised.
In addition, Conker's Pocket Tales is a dual-compatible game, which means that even though it's built for the Game Boy Color, you can insert your cartridge into an original Game Boy and play it that way. Of course, you'd be getting some minor alterations to the controls and gameplay. For example, instead of the quaint little house you get on startup, you get this creepy face of Conker looking at a butterfly.
Anyway, Pocket Tales contained a lot of family-friendly aspects, back before Conker was changed to be aimed for adults. As a result, you might notice a lot of differences between this game and Bad Fur Day.
Alright, enough with the facts. Is this game any good? Let's find out. So we start the game off with a simple...
Huh?
Alright, well in case you didn't get that, Conker's rival, the evil acorn dude here, has taken your girlfriend Barry and all of your presents, and now you have to get him back. Now doesn't that sound just a little bit familiar to you?
Yeah, it's as tale as old as time, a tried and true classic, and this game is no exception. Travel across the world and collect presents.
I have to start by saying, I really enjoy the soundtrack, although it might sound a bit abrasive at times. Arrangement-wise, I have no problems with it. The only other issue I have is whenever you enter the main menu to save and then leave, the music restarts from the very beginning. This sucks if you save a lot in the later levels, because you'll be hearing those same first few notes so many times that it can get very annoying. On top of that, you'd be missing out on a nice main menu song. Why not have the world music continue while you have the main menu open?
So anyway, you leave your house and you're left to your own devices. Let's talk to this acorn guy.
We will give you helpful advice. Head northeast to the Forest Guardian's house. You'll move quicker if you double tap the control pad.
I can't say I've ever seen a game from that era with that kind of control scheme.
The only game that comes to mind is Minecraft, but that doesn't even show up until the 2010s. Most games usually have you press a button like the B button in order to go faster.
Now, where's that forest guardian?
Northeast, he said.
Oh, right.
So you go northeast to the forest guardian's house, and he tells you you need to find a weapon.
Wait. Why didn't they give you a weapon from the start? There are enemies everywhere from your house to the forest guardian, and even more when you go to whatever that weapon is.
I suppose now is a good time to talk about the controls.
The controls seemed easy to understand, and it looks like the ones from Game Boy Advance I played on as a child.
Overall, I think the controls are pretty a-okay. The only problem is that once you hit a wall and turn, you can't turn back to face it. This makes the puzzles that appear later in the game more frustrating than they actually need to be.
Anyway, you get the slingshot, and you can fire straight ahead with the B button. You use Conker's for ammo. Haha, get it? They respawn once you're far enough away from them. So grind away.
The problem is that they treat it like a collectible sometimes. Yeah, you go through all these enemies and traps and all you get is one measly conker. Screw you! Why don't they give you an acorn, which, unlike Animal, doesn't respawn?
So after you go back to the Forest Guardian, he gives you a fun little shooting minigame to test your aim.
After your target practice, he sends you into the forest, you find a guy, he gives you a key, and you have to go to the opposite end of the map to this little mushroom town. For the most part, it's fine, but it would have been nice if the game told me that pressing the A button twice would allow me to stomp. I mean, it probably says it in the manual, but I don't see what the problem is with one of these acorn guys telling me instead. I mean, they had no qualms with telling me how to save and how to sprint, why not how to stomp?
I noticed that despite being referred to as Mushroom Town, it's inhabited by acorns and they're all standing in place. What's the matter? Are the townspeople afraid that their house is gonna grow sentient and attack them?
So after breaking into people's houses, you find the bad guy. All he gives you is this easy worm boss where you just have to shoot it till it dies. You can hide in between these two trees and it'll never touch you.
Yahoo! Wait, no satisfaction?
The satisfaction comes from going to the next world, I guess?
Alright, there are 6 worlds in the game, and with their own distinct theme and tasks to complete, once you have all 8 presents in one world, you move on to the next. Easy, right?
Honestly, how vain is Conker that he actually needs all these presents anyway? By the end of the game, you're practically swimming in these things.
Heck, where did these people get Conker? Acorns? Alcohol?
So, after you kill the worm monster, you have to unlock the door into the barn near the Forest Guardian's house and do another push puzzle. Then you're on your way to the desert, where you have to fight off crows, snakes, and walking cacti all the way to Vultureville.
You end up finding the Undertaker in the cemetery, where, instead of telling you to get help, he claims another squirrel shot him and left him for dead.
Gee, I hope that rootin' tootin' sheriff doesn't come and...
Well, god damn it.
He even arrests you on the spot.
Yeah, let's throw out due process and all that traditional bullcrap. This is the Wild West!
He throws you in jail, but this is probably the worst jail in the universe.
Your cell isn't even locked. You just have to stomp on buttons to get out.
Yes, let this be a lesson to all you aspiring criminals for how to break out of your local jail. Number 1, push buttons. Number 2, present yourself to the sheriff. Number 3, congratulations, you're now a deputy.
What?
Yes, by breaking out of jail, that means you're qualified to be an officer of the law.
Gee, that won't bite the town in the back later.
Regardless, remember that squirrel who killed the Undertaker? Turns out his name is Honker.
Honker?
Honker. Creative name, right? Anyway, he's continuing his crime spree by sticking up the bank. So as the nudist deputy, you're tasked with taking him down. The shooting mechanics are much similar to before. You move left and right, and you shoot the squirrel down.
So far, this whole game has been a cakewalk. The only time I was shot was due to carelessness. We didn't even try here.
The rest of the level is just you visiting a Native American tribe and collecting gold. You're introduced to a minigame where you have to pick up a nugget from the river and shake it off. I didn't catch the controls the first time, so I lost.
What? You can't go back and look at the controls?
You know, whatever, you can just reset the game. So anyway, after giving away your gold and fighting off some vultures, you're given some scuba gear to look for the third world.
The third word is Crow Keep, a creepy place filled with even more baddies than ever before. You're tasked with finding more presents inside a possibly haunted castle.
But first, you're greeted to a happy town of tents where you can play some minigames. Let's see here. This one.
After you've played through the games and grabbed the key, it's time to head into the castle.
In fact, the rest of this level is just an obstacle course, having you traverse bottomless pits and spikes, dodge rats, and even the furniture is trying to kill you?
Wait, what's that?
What?
That!
Oh, that's the man-eating blob.
Throughout the level, you're greeted to an evil wizard who throws saw blades and later swords at you. Although, to be fair, if a sentient squirrel were to break into my home, I'd be pretty defensive too.
The boss itself isn't too difficult. You can just stand to one side the whole time and wait to strike. Alright!
Once you've beaten the wizard, around 4 times, you make your way to the end of the level for a final showdown.
Wait, the wizard's name is Waldorf?
Same as the rest of them, Waldorf, the wizard, isn't super difficult. He pulls all the same tricks at you, and you can just stick to near the top of the screen and shoot him. Yes, we did it.
Alright, now back to the forest. Again.
Once you return, the forest guard gives us a choice. Either go to a beautiful beach or a nasty swamp.
But we need to go to both worlds either way, so let's go to the beach!
Ah, the Mako Islands. What a name.
What a world indeed. They actually give you a map this time.
To be fair, the only place that ever really needed a map was the first world. And even then, you were able to traverse the area just fine.
And whatever. Like with every other beach level, you're greeted to giant crabs, sentient plants, and squirrel-eating sharks. Watch out!
Is that a crow?
Sharks don't even eat squirrels. They don't even eat people either. They only...
That shows up all the time in these kind of games. What about the out-of-place crow?
What, you never seen a crow on a beach before? Next you're gonna tell me you haven't seen a polar bear in New York City.
Anyway, the objective here is to build a boat.
And wow, minigames, minigames, minigames. They're everywhere here. Swimming, shooting, long jumping. It's like you're at the Olympics.
Even Honker's back. And he's not without a vengeance. He'll try to outswim, outrun, and later outboat you to victory.
Gee, with a name like Conker, it kinda sounds like he's compensating for something. Man, these minigames really mix it up too. Earlier all you had to do was shoot something, but now some of these minigames require you to repeatedly mash the D-pad left and right. This can really take a toll on your thumb.
Once you get your boat, it's time for the final showdown against Honker. Let's go.
Come on.
Look out!
Now that we've beaten our monochrome compensating counterpart, it's time we've handled the swamp. This level really is a drastic change from the rest of the game. To begin, the entire world is just one big obstacle course. I guess it's because the developers got tired of us getting lost, so they decided to give us a break.
Is that a wolf?
I think wolves appear in swamps, right?
Hold on. Let me look it up on my phone.
Anyway, to continue with my rant, this level feels more like a jungle than a swamp. Sure, you have plenty of muck and water to slow you down, but you also have giant spiders, bats, sentient plants, arrows. Even the architecture gives off a deep jungle vibe. Speaking of, you think there's some exciting and dangerous adventure to make this one stand out? No! You get 8 box puzzles.
Aha, I got it. It says here that red wolves like to live in swamps.
Huh?
You remember? We were wondering about why wolves would appear in swamps.
Oh, we're past that already, Jude. We're talking about boxes now.
Boxes? I love boxes!
Well, you're gonna love them even more when you find out that every box puzzle in this level is boring!
No!
This one, you don't even need to think. Why even put it in here?
Hey, how do you complete this one?
Oh, Oh, this could take a while.
This boss for this level is a hand creeping out of the swamp. It's a very simple boss. All you need to do is spam the A button and you win.
That stop attack really comes in handy.
After beating him, you can make your way onto the last world of the game.
The Aztec Temple. Wowzer, what a world.
Like with the swamp, the temple feels more like a single-liner level rather than a world. There's no acorns to guide you through this mess of a maze, and on top of that, there's yet more box puzzles.
Haven't they given you enough of these? There were already 8 required puzzles in the last world. What happened to the minigames? Or better yet, the button puzzles? Yeah, I didn't like how the only solution is to essentially brute force it, but at least it didn't shove it down your throat and overstay its welcome like these stupid freaking box puzzles.
You're never gonna want to see anything remotely cubular ever again when you're done with this game!
Alright, enough with the blocks. Shut up! Anyway, enough with the puzzles. One thing I kinda liked about this dungeon was the rolling boulder that drops at the very beginning. You know, like the one in Indiana Jones, except this one takes away a full 5 acorns of health when you get hit. Isn't that a little harsh? It's not like they give you any time to react, and even if you see it coming, you can't run fast enough to get to safety. It's possible, and I know it's possible, and I've done it, but for the love of God, make it easier.
There's also water pools to swim around the level in. None of these are threatening, but boy, is it nice to cool off after getting frustrated with this stupid level. Right, Vagabond?
Oh.
The boss is here. You guessed it! A killer statue!
It's a simple boss fight compared to what you've been through. It sends out some bats, maybe a slime monster. Shoot at its mouth when it's open. Easy enough. But just when you think you're finally done, when you think you're finally ready to set this game down for good, you have yet another dungeon to traverse.
What?
Yeah, it turns out it's right next to your house the whole time. I guess that explains how he got into the cake.
What?
Why do you keep saying what? Anyway, so you get to the hole in the ground. Before you enter the Catacombs, improve your rating by collecting all the invites and special presents.
Oh yeah, in case you haven't noticed, there are invitations and extra presents scattered across the many worlds. Collecting them all leads to an extra ending. But unless you want to see a bunch of acorns just opposed in a birthday party backdrop, I wouldn't bother.
Anyway, the Catacombs is yet another long and perilous dungeon, filled with yet even more enemies, more spikes, and on top of that, they pull this boulder bullshit again.
And on top of that, you can go to the wrong way and encounter even more collectibles in the form of your acorn friends.
But you know what's bad? Yet another box puzzle. How many of these does this game have? Half of them aren't even puzzles. Look, there's no challenge or thought to completing this one. This is just here to waste our time. So anyway, you finally make it to Barry's prison. No, 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 I've had enough of you. I've placed a bomb and this whole place is going to blow in 5 minutes. We're all doomed.
Wait, what?
We have to get out of here! Wait, didn't we already complete this puzzle?
Who cares? Push the box and let's go!
So to answer the question, is this game any good? Well, the game takes approximately 2 to 4 hours to complete if you're competent enough. The graphics are alright, the music is pretty good, and the game definitely has its high points. But its could be better controls, and dragged out third act prevents it from being perfect. Overall, it's no bad fur day, but it's at least worth a look if you're that desperate for more Conker.